I know you're about to shove a giant ass needle in my back, in my spine. I don't care right now. Like, whatever is gonna take away these contraction pains, like, give it to me.
Ride around the city, top down, bad girl, yeah, by my side. She'll do anything for a king, yeah, that's my ride or die. Baby, don't lie, let that bullshit slide. Hey, look in my eye.
Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. So in today's video, I'm going to be filming a long overdue video of mine, but also a highly requested one, and that is my labor and delivery story. So I did a poll on my Instagram the other day asking what you guys wanted to see, because I wasn't sure. I was like, it happened, you know, so long ago. Do you guys still want to hear about it? And this video was the one that won. So yeah, if you guys are new here, my daughter is 9 months old, a little over 9 months old. So I gave birth 9 months ago, and I cannot believe how fast time is going by. But I just want to sit here, talk to you guys, just have like a real and honest, like chit chat type of video, kind of like my postpartum video that I filmed. Just explaining like my delivery story, how it went for me, like things I didn't even know that happened. Yeah, so I'm just sitting down, keeping it real, and kind of just sitting, talking to you guys, like how I would talk and sit with my girls, like when, you know, when it was done, they asked me like, so how was it? What happened? Like pain, all of that. Grab a drink, grab a coffee, you know, a tea, whatever you feel like. I feel like it's going to be a little chatty chit chat video. So yeah, let's get into it. So I gave birth October 23rd, 2020. I was 39 weeks. I think I was like 39 weeks to the day. And I remember, like, if there's any moms out there and you guys are like approaching, you know, your end of the pregnancy, I remember being so done and so over it by like, I think I was like 35, 36 weeks. So hang in there. Really try to enjoy like your pregnancy as much as possible, because I know now looking back, like I miss being pregnant, I miss my belly, like I definitely miss it. But I remember like the end, I was over it. I was like, once I was like considered full term and my doctor gave me like the green light to try all those like old wives' tales, I was trying all of them. Like I was Googling everything. I tried every old wives' tale on the list. I was doing like walks, like long walks. I was bouncing on like a medicine ball. I was eating a bunch of like pineapple and spicy food. I did like primrose oil. Like I was doing so much stuff. So trust me, I get it. Hang in there. Yeah, because you don't know, like it could be your last pregnancy. You could not have another baby. So really just try and enjoy this time, because I'm pretty sure you will miss it. So like I was saying, I gave birth at 39 weeks. I remember though at my 37-week appointment, I went in, I think it was like a few days before Thanksgiving. And my doctor checked me at that appointment. She's like, finally, you know, I'll check how far you're dilated. And I was like 1 centimeter, I think like 1.5 centimeters dilated. And I remember hearing that. I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, you know, it's time. That doesn't mean anything. Like you could be 1 centimeter dilated, go into labor, like, you know, the next day, or you could be like 3 centimeters dilated and it doesn't happen for another like few weeks. So definitely, I think I got a little too excited, because my doctor was like, yeah, maybe she'll come like Thanksgiving weekend. You'll have a Thanksgiving baby. She didn't come for like another 2 weeks. So that appointment, I remember being so excited. We were ready. I feel like by like 35 weeks, even pretty much before that, like our hospital bag was packed. The house was ready. Like her nursery was ready. Like we were waiting. Like we were just like, when is she coming? We were so excited to meet her. We were prepared. So honestly, by like 38 weeks and she still like wasn't here, I was just bored. Like I was like, I'm ready. Like the house is ready for you. I had nothing else to do. Like I was just like organizing pointless things. Yeah, so then, you know, we were just waiting. 37 weeks, Thanksgiving weekend, she didn't come. The next week she didn't come. And then I went into labor on a Friday. So, and I had like my 38, 39 week appointment on a Thursday. So the last month of my pregnancy, I was seeing my doctor every week. I was going in for like checkups and she was checking me. So I went in on the Thursday. I had an appointment in like the evening, there's actually, I had an appointment at like 3 o'clock, but my doctor, like the office was running super behind. So I only ended up getting out of there at like 5 p.m. at night. So for that 39-week appointment, or 38-week, because I wasn't 38 weeks yet. So for that 39-week appointment, I went in and I was so like ready. I was like, please say like I'm like 4 centimeters dilated. Like I was just ready. And she checked me, and I think she said I was like 2.5 centimeters dilated. So I was like, oh, great. Like I only dilated like a centimeter pretty much since like 2 weeks ago when she checked me. But at that point, she was like, you're full term, like the baby's a good enough size. She was saying like she was between like 6 and 7 pounds. That's what she was like estimating. And my daughter was 7 pounds, 9 ounces. So she was pretty like accurate. She said anywhere between 6 and 8 pounds. So like your baby's full term, she's ready to go, like everything's good and developed. So she was like, do you want me to do a membrane sweep? And I was like, I remember hearing about membrane sweeps, and like my aunts told me like, oh yeah, I had a membrane sweep and I went into labor like the next day, So I was so excited. I wanted her to do that because I was like, I heard like that's one sure thing that works. So yeah, my doctor pretty much told me like she can do the membrane sweep, and she was like, that's one like really good way to induce and like naturally start labor. She also told me like all those wives' tales I was doing, she's like, yeah, okay, like you can try them, see if they work, like let me know if they work, like have fun trying. But she told me pretty much like the membrane sweep, and she told me sex is like one thing that she swears by that starts labor. So we were doing that too. Like we were just ready to get Luna out. So if you don't know what a membrane sweep is, it's pretty much like, she was like, I'll check you. Like when she checks to see if you're dilated, she's going to just like stick her fingers up there and do like a little sweep around. And it's pretty much supposed to start like your labor, or it's like, it's a possibility to start your labor. So she did that. She was like, you're going to feel like it's going to be uncomfortable. So she checked if I was dilated. Like I said, I was 2.5 centimeters around, and she did the membrane sweep. And I was like, I got like a really bad cramp in the moment. That's what it felt like. It was just like a very uncomfortable cramp feeling. So she told me, she was like, and when she did that too, and she checked to see how dilated it was, she was like, her head is like down, like she's ready to come. She was like, I guarantee, like, I am so sure that I will see you this weekend. Like, you will have a baby by the end of this weekend. So my appointment was a Thursday, and she was right. I gave birth the next day. Definitely for me, the membrane sweep clearly worked. So she told me, like, you know, you might, after having a membrane sweep, you might have some cramping, you might have like light bleeding. It's kind of going to feel like period cramps. And from the second I left my doctor's appointment, I had cramps until I went into labor. So I left my appointment around 5:30. I got home. I remember, I think Jared got home from work, and I was just feeling like period cramps. Like I was feeling really achy. It felt like what she said, it felt like period cramps. So I just remember being like, well, like it's my first baby. So I didn't know what contractions felt like. So I was asking my mom, I was like, how am I going to know if it's just like, you know, cramping from having the membrane sweep or contractions? My mom's like, you're going to know, like it's a different type of cramping. So throughout the night, like I was still feeling that cramping, and then progressively and slowly it started to get worse. Like it was a little more than like a period cramp. Like it was all over my stomach. Instead of like, usually my period cramps are like my lower stomach, but this was like an all over crampy feeling. I waited. I kind of like, I wasn't sure. I didn't want to get Jared's hopes up because like I remember 2 nights before I thought my water broke. So we went into the hospital, like we called and they were like, yeah, come in. We need to check to see if your water broke. So like we brought our hospital bags. Like we weren't sure. So I didn't feel like it, like honestly deep down. It didn't feel like my water broke or like labor was happening. Like it was so like, we just like walked in. We're like, yeah, like we're just here. Like we're going to check. So pretty much what happened was, I guess Luna, like at that point in your pregnancy, the baby's so large that like any little movement, she like pushed on my bladder and I kind of like peed a bit. So, that's what happened. They sent us back home, but then 2 days later we ended up being back, and it was the real deal this time. So yeah, that night I was having the cramps, and then it started to slowly get worse, and it was more like frequent. Like it would get like, it wasn't like a constant cramping pain. It was kind of like a wave. Like it would get like really bad and then it would slow down. But I was still able to like do things through it. Like I was still able to like walk around the house and tidy up and like, have a conversation. So we ordered food, we ate, like but we kind of knew in our minds, like, okay, for sure by like tomorrow morning, like we're gonna be, going to the hospital. Like I feel like it's gonna happen, like it's happening soon, within the next 24 hours, like I'm gonna go into labor. So ordered food, we were chilling, and then around 11 o'clock at night, it really started getting like intense. Like it was happening every like 15 minutes, I would say, but it was like I couldn't talk, I was moaning, like it was just so painful. And it would come in waves. Like I said, like contractions are so weird because it's literally like the worst pain, and you're in like the worst pain for a few minutes, and then after you're completely fine. Like I would be doing something and then I would like just have to like bend over, like I was hunched over, like moaning in agony, and then like 2 seconds later I was like, yeah, okay, so like nothing happened. So contractions are super weird like that, but it's sort of like a wave of pain that you're getting. So at 11, I was like, okay, is this, like, I'm feeling this is contractions. It's more intense than period cramps. But, like, at that point, especially your first baby, you don't know, like, any little pain. It's like, you're like, is this a contraction? Is it happening? Like, did my water break? Like, you're just so anxious. I feel like those last few weeks going into labor. So my hospital has, like, a direct line, like an emergency line to, like, the nurse section at the delivery center. So I called that number. I explained to her, like, I had my membrane sweep, like earlier this evening. And I've been having cramps, but now they're getting a bit more intense. Like, I don't know if it's contraction. So she asked me, like, is it a wave of pain? Like, how is it? Like, how frequent? And at that point, it was like every like 15 minutes that it was coming. So she's like, it's contractions, like, by the way you're describing it. But it's only 15 minutes apart. So you don't want to come to the hospital and you're not like progressed enough, or you're not in active labor. And then we either have to send you back home, or you just spend like a bunch of extra time in the hospital when you could be at home. So the nurse at the nurse station was super nice. She was like, just eat. She's like, relax, have some tea. She was like, take a nice bath, like just get ready, make sure your house is like organized and clean, because she goes like, it sounds like you're going to be going into active labor soon. It's getting more frequent. So she told me, do all that, relax, take it easy. And then when they're like about 5 minutes apart and they're more consistent, like when you have like 3 contractions 5 minutes apart, then it's time. Like she goes, get in the car. Like it's time, it's happening. So I was doing that. I tidied up the house. We put our bags by the door. I packed all like the last minute things, like, our charger, our phone, wallet, like all of that type of stuff, our toothbrush. So we packed that all by the door. I took a bath because she also told me like it would help like relax me and ease the pain. So I took a nice bath. I did my hair, like in between contractions. I remember I was sitting on the couch, like I was curling my hair. I get a contraction, I'd stop, and then I like continue curling my hair. I just wanted to have like my hair done, because I wasn't really planning on wearing like too much makeup giving birth. But I saw, I wanted to feel a little good, and I have the time. So I was like, okay, I really wanted to labor at home as much as possible. I didn't want to go in too early and just spend like extra hours in the hospital when I could have been like at home in the comfort of my own home. So yeah, I did that. Like I said, I called the nurse at 11. She told me all of this. And then by like 1, it really started like picking up. Like it was like every 5 to 7 minutes, I was getting contractions. So at that point, I got dressed. Jared loaded up the car. I got in the car. And then I remember in the car, they were coming like every 5 to 3 minutes. So it really like progressed super, super fast, which I heard like your first labor, like everyone was like, oh, it takes a lot of time. Like you're going to be pushing for a while. You might be in labor for like a long time. It takes like you progress more slowly, especially your first baby. So that's what I was expecting. So I feel like it happened super fast. And by the time we were in the car on the way to the hospital, it was every like 5 to 3 minutes. So we got there. Jared brought our suitcase, our bags in. We went to the nurse's station. I was like, I remember being hunched over in pain. Like I called, you told me to call when we were on the way. I called in the car because that's what the nurse told me. She's like, call me, tell when we're here. We'll get you ready. Like we'll get everything like registered, So I did that. I was like hunched over on the desk, moaning in pain. Like, she's asking me questions. And I remember they got me a wheelchair and they wheeled me into like, I guess, this exam room where they check you to see how, if like your contractions are really happening and to see how dilated you are. So she checked me. I was 4 centimeters dilated and my contractions were like every 3 minutes. So she was like, you're in active labor now. We're going to get your room set up. Would you like the epidural? I was like, yes, get me that epidural like now, as soon as you can. She was like, okay, I'll call the anesthesiologist. And when you're set in the room, he'll come and like check you out and we'll get that started. So after they checked my vitals, saw how much I was dilated and how frequent my contractions were, they admitted me and they wheeled me into the labor, like my labor room. So I'm so happy that night. I feel like it wasn't too busy or too crazy because the anesthesiologist was probably there within like 10 minutes of us getting settled into the room. So he walked in. I was like, I know you're about to shove a giant ass needle in my back, in my spine. I don't care right now. Like, whatever is going to take away these contraction pains, like, give it to me. I can handle it. I feel like when you're in that much pain, like with the contractions, you don't care about anything else. They also started me on antibiotics because I did test positive for strep B. I think like it's a very common thing. So when you do, they test you for that. It's just like a swab they do, I think, when you're like around 36 weeks. Just so they know if they need to start you on antibiotics. So they did. And I also had a slight fever. So they just wanted to put me on antibiotics to take like a precaution. I also got a COVID test done because, COVID was going on then. So they did all that. Once that was done, the anesthesiologist came. He explained to me, the epidural, what it's going to do. Like, I won't be able to walk around after. I'm going to feel numb. Sometimes it takes, like 15, 20 minutes for it really to kick in. So if I don't feel it within 20 minutes, I call him back and like he'll see, if he needs to give me more or so-and-so. So you literally just have to like bend over the bed. They gave me like a pillow or like a ball or something like that, like a kind of like a peanut ball. Just you like hug it over and lean over the bed and you have to be super still. And he shoves the needle in your back. Honestly, it was like a little pinch. It was like a pinch and then you feel like cold, like going in your back. It wasn't the worst pain. It was nothing compared to the contractions. So yeah, he gave me that. And within 10 minutes, I was a new person. Like, I was on cloud 9. I was like, I did my makeup, I was like able to talk. So the epidural for me, like, I recommend it. I understand like some women do it natural and like kudos to you for doing it natural because it's not easy. Even if you did get an epidural, you're still a badass. Like, that shit is not easy. Even with an epidural, it still was like a lot of energy, a lot of pressure, like you're giving birth to a human. So for me, I was like, anything that can help me do that, like, I'm gonna take it. So one thing with the epidural though was it made me so nauseous. I remember 2 minutes after getting it, I had to throw up. I think I threw up like 2 times after getting the epidural. Like I said, like we ordered food before we went to the hospital because I know once you're admitted, you're not allowed to eat. That was one thing I was like, oh my God, I won't be able to eat. I don't know how long I'm going to be in labor for. So I knew like going in, so I ate before. We ordered like pasta from like one of our favorite like Italian restaurants. And I threw the whole thing up. Like Jared was an angel. He was holding my hair. He was like holding, the bag. He was like wiping my face down with a face cloth, like angel. So I think I threw up like 2 times after the epidural. I felt really nauseous. And then after it really kicked in, I felt great. I was able to get some sleep. So I feel like by the time the epidural and like getting settled in and everything was done, it was probably close to around like 3 a.m., 3:30. So the nurses were like, okay, you have your epidural now. Like, you're good. They showed me the button to press if I needed anything. They were like really trying to get some rest. So, you're well rested to push because that takes a lot of energy. So I did that. I would say until like 6, 7 a.m. I got like a good like maybe 2 hours of sleep, 2-3 hours of sleep. And I'm so happy I did because I feel like that gave me so much energy like later on to push. I feel like if I didn't have the epidural and I would have been in that pain for like that whole duration, I wouldn't be able to like, I wouldn't have energy to push, because already I was exhausted. Like still, even with that like 2-3 hours of sleep, I still felt exhausted like when it came time to push. So I remember around like 7 a.m. the nurse came in because Luna's heart rate was pretty fast. It was elevated. They had me like just lay in different positions, trying to see like if I laid on my side. Sometimes they just said like when the baby's trying to come down, there's like, you know, gravity. Sometimes it's easier like on them. It's more relaxing if you're laying in a certain way. So one way they had me was like leaned up against the bed, like in a ball, which was super uncomfortable. Like being 9 months pregnant, like hanging over the bed type of thing. It was not comfortable, but it was working. So I was like, whatever works and gets her heart rate down, like I'm going to keep doing it. Like I don't care how tired I am. So I did that. And then at that point she was like, okay, I'm going to break your water. I think she checked me too. I was about like 7.5 centimeters dilated. So she's like, you're progressing amazing. This was around like 6-7 a.m. I would say. It's kind of like a blur, honestly. Some of like that night and that morning feels like a blur, like moments. So I'm pretty sure it was around 6-7 a.m. She broke my water. Like she literally just like poked and the water broke. And said I was like about like 7.5 centimeters dilated. So she was like, you know, she's like, soon you're progressing really fast. She was like, this is your first baby. She's like, this is happening really fast. She's like, I came in at 3 and by like 6 in the morning, I was like almost 8 centimeters dilated. So I remember later, I think like maybe like 45 minutes, an hour later, I would say around like 7:38, I felt like this pressure. Like I literally felt like I had to shit. And I remember, you know, like my mom told me, my aunts told me, like, you really feel like a pressure down there. And I felt it. So I called for the nurse and I was like, I feel a lot of pressure. Like, are you able to, she's like, okay, yeah. Like, I'm going to check you. She checked me. She's like, you're almost 10 centimeters dilated. Like you're 9 centimeters. She was like, the head's there. Like, I feel it. She goes, I'm going to call the doctor. We're going to get ready. So she said like she's gonna get the doctor, but it took the doctor like a minute to get there. I think I only really started pushing around like 8:30. So it took, I would say, about like 45 minutes for everything to get started. You know, they were prepping me, they were getting all the instruments in. Like the doctor, you know, they were getting all gowned up, and the nurse was just like talking me through it. The nurse was super sweet. I feel like a huge part of like a good delivery is having a good nurse. And I know some people said they didn't have like good nurses with them, and you can actually ask like to have a different nurse. If you're not vibing or meshing with your nurse, like definitely you can ask for another nurse, because that's like your cheerleader. They're like coaching you through it, telling you what to do. So yeah, so she was just talking to me, you know, we were getting through it. Like she was telling me how to breathe and like letting me know like I have to push whenever I have a contraction. Like if you don't know, you can only push when you're getting a contraction. So I had the epidural, but it's really weird because even though you have the epidural and I can't really feel that much like pain necessarily, you feel like this pressure and you feel like an urge to push. Like I knew like when I was getting contraction. So yeah, I feel like it was super, like it was calm, like things were just happening, like it was happening really fast, but I feel like the vibe was super calm. Jared got like these LED like electric candles, so we had that all in the room, and we had like a playlist, and it was super nice and relaxing. So I feel like I was relaxed going into it. And then around 8:30 the doctor was in, she was ready, and she was like, okay, it's time to push. She was like, I don't want to scare you, but she was like, the baby's heart rate is really like high and it can't be like this for too long. She goes, if she's not out within an hour, we're going to have to do an emergency C-section. And I remember hearing that and I was like, I don't want a C-section. Like I made it this far going that like with the vision of giving like birth vaginally. I was like, I really want to do it. For those of you who don't know, while I was pregnant in my second trimester, I had to have my appendix removed. So I really did not want to be like cut open or have like another surgery. So in my mind, she told me that and I was like, bet. like, she's coming out, I'm doing this, like, she's gonna come out, I'm not having a C-section, I will find a way to get her out within under an hour. Even though in the back of my mind, I remember, like, everyone telling me, your first baby, you might be pushing, like, over an hour, 2 hours, your labor is gonna be super long. But my labor progressed so fastly that I was like, you know what? No, I got this. Like, I'm gonna do it. Like, let's get this done. So around 8:30, I started pushing, and within 30 minutes she was out, and I was so, like, I was exhausted. Like, pushing takes so much energy. You're breathing. I threw up again. I feel like the second she told me, like, hey, it's time to push, and we did, like, the practice pushes, everything was a blur. I went into, like, this zone. I don't remember, like, anything that was going on around me. Like, I just remember Jared, like, holding my leg and, like, telling me I got this, and, like, okay, I see her, da-da-da, like, her head's there. He looked down and, like, saw her head, and that for me was, like, really encouraging, like, seeing the look on, like, Jared's face and, like, the nurse's face, just knowing, like, okay, like, she's about to be there. So I was pushing. I think it took like 5 rounds of pushing. And by the 5th round, the doctor was like, okay, within the next like push or 2, she's going to be out. So she said, give these last pushes everything you got. And that's what I did. And she was out. And I'm telling you, I feel like this is a feeling only like a mom can explain. But when you push out the baby and they put her on my chest, I was in a daze. Like, it was the most amazing feeling ever. Like, you can't even explain it. You can't explain it. I was so in love. Like, I was so overwhelmed. I was so, like, exhausted. Like, everything I was feeling was, like, just going through my mind. And they put her on my chest. I remember just staring at her. I remember, like, when she came out, I was like, holy shit. Like, I didn't cry in the moment. I feel like I was so in shock. Like, this is the person I've been waiting to meet for, like, 9 months. Like, this is my daughter. Like, I can't explain it. And I remember being like, holy shit, oh my God. And they placed her on my chest, and I was just staring at her, and Jared cut the umbilical cord. I don't even remember that happening. I was just, like, locked in with her and, like, feeling this type of love I've never felt in my life. They delivered my placenta, and I don't even remember that. I remember them, like, just pushing on my stomach, but I don't remember feeling it coming out. That was another thing I was freaked out too, because people are like, oh yeah, after you give birth to the baby, you know you have to deliver the placenta. And I was like, oh my God, but I didn't feel that. I was in such awe and such a daze and such, like, this feeling. I don't remember what was going on around me. She stitched me up a bit. I didn't have that much, like, she told me I didn't tear, like, that much. I had little tears. I think she gave me, like, 2 or 3 stitches. She said this was, like, nothing. She goes, she wouldn't even consider it a tear. She said it was, like, it was little side tears. It wasn't even, like, down the middle. It was very, like, I didn't even know that was a thing, but that's what she told me. She stitched me up, didn't even feel it. They cleaned her off. They weighed her. Like, I was just in bliss. Needless to say, I want to give some of y'all hope that not every labor is, like, horrific and traumatizing and, like, the horror stories that you hear, because I know going into it, like, everyone wants to give you their opinion, or, like, watching videos like this, everyone was like, especially with it being my first baby, everyone was like, your first baby, it takes so long to progress. I was in labor for 30 plus hours. I was pushing for almost 3 hours. You're gonna tear. And that wasn't the case for me. I went into labor. I got into the hospital around like 2 a.m. and I gave birth at 9:06 a.m. So I started pushing, I would say 8:30, 8:35. So I really was pushing for like 30 minutes and she was out. So it progressed really fast. I remember the doctor even told me, she was like, if this was your first baby and it happened this fast for you, like your next baby, you better get here the second you start having contractions, because if not, you're going to give birth in the car. So, but who knows, like my next labor could be completely different from this one. I'm praying it's not, but yeah, so I just want to give you guys some hope that it's not like this traumatic experience all the time. Like, take it for, like, just keep in mind, like I said, every labor is different. So it really is a beautiful experience. I remember when I would hear that before, people, it's like, oh my God, it's so beautiful and magical. I was like, how is like pushing a baby out your vagina and blood and fluid. How is that like a beautiful thing? But honestly, it is so beautiful, and it's a moment like, and a feeling I can't even describe. So really just enjoy, you know, every moment of it. Get like a diffuser with essential oils, and, you know, make a playlist, have some like LED electric candles, like, you know, just make it feel as homey and like comfortable as possible. Because you don't know how long you're going to be there for. And yeah, I remember after the feeling though, like one thing I didn't know was once like you give birth and all of that's done, they give you, like, they take out your epidural. For me, Brett, like, I didn't know that you get like contractions after, because it's like your uterus is literally shrinking back. I had no idea about that. So I just want to like let all the moms out there know that I had no idea. And it was like having contractions over again, but this time you didn't have the epidural. And I remember especially when I would breastfeed her, like the pain from breastfeeding, like the second she would latch, I would get these crazy cramps. Like it felt like I was having contractions again. And that's because like they said when your nipples are stimulated, it causes like your uterus to shrink and, you know, all of that. So yeah, didn't know that. I also didn't know that you get like these crazy chills. I had no idea that they call them like labor chills. I literally was like trembling, shaking, and I couldn't control it. And I was like, what's happening? Like, what is this? And the doctor explained to me, like, this is your body, kind of like your adrenaline. You're getting ready to go into labor. Like, this means it's close, it's time. Did not know that. I also, for me, I was petrified to shit on the table. Like, not on the table, to shit in the bed. Like, I was so scared. I was like, please don't let me shit myself. But looking back now, probably like in the moment, I wouldn't even have known. Or if I did, like, I probably wouldn't even have cared at that point. Like, y'all have seen a baby come out of me. Like, I don't care. I don't care at that point. But I remember being like petrified for that. I was also scared, not necessarily for like the labor part, but like the aftermath of like having everything wear off and having to like go to the bathroom after having a baby. That scared me. I'm not gonna lie, it was a little comfortable the first few times. Like when you pee, it burns a bit. Like going number 2, it was kind of uncomfortable, but it wasn't like as bad as I thought. I was like, oh my god, I was trying, like, that was what scared me. I think it was like going to the bathroom after labor, and then like labor was like after that. So it wasn't as bad as I thought. I had like the little peri bottle, and I sprayed, and, you know, like rinse with the water. The nurses show you how to do all of that. And yeah, so wasn't too bad. Also, I don't know, like maybe it wasn't that bad because I didn't have so many stitches. I feel like maybe if I had a bunch of stitches, it would have burned a little or hurt a bit more, but I didn't have any, like, I think I had like 2 or 3 stitches. So thank God for that. Also, yeah, I checked like a few days after I gave birth. I took a mirror and I looked down there because I was curious. And you guys, it looked like the same. Like there was no stitches. It wasn't swollen. There was no like cuts or anything like that. Like I was so shocked. So our bodies are amazing. Like we were literally meant to do this. And that's one thing, like going into it, like whenever I would be freaked out like about giving birth, I was like, us as women, our bodies were made to do this. Like I got this. Like women would give birth, you know, back in the day without any epidural, like any medication, nothing. So I was like, you know what? I got an epidural. I'm in a hospital, like with medical professionals. I can do this. I got this. To all the moms out there, you did amazing. You killed it. Like we are amazing. And to all my expecting moms that are about to give birth, congratulations to you guys. And I am wishing everyone, like every mom watching this that's about to give birth, I'm wishing you guys an amazing, healthy, and safe delivery. All the pain that you go through, all the exhaustion, the pushing, or, you know, if you had a C-section, it's all worth it in the end. I'm telling you, I would do it 1,000,000 times over again. So even that pain of the contractions, like I would do it all over again if I had the choice. It's so worth it. And I would always hear moms say this, like all that pain you go through, it's worth it in the end. It's worth it in the end, but it truly is. So you got this. You're going to be able to hold your baby once this is all over with. One thing, though, that I was upset with, even though I did have like an amazing delivery, it was that because of COVID, my mom wasn't able to be in the room with us. And I don't know, I just always picture like my mom, you know, like my partner and my mom being there. But we FaceTimed, and like literally right after we FaceTimed, and I'm going to insert a picture because I still like till this day, whenever I need a good laugh, I look back at this picture. It's like the FaceTime when my mom saw Luna for the first time, and her face is priceless. So definitely, I feel like that was worth it, like having that picture. So yeah, but my nurse was amazing. The doctor was amazing. I feel like it's really important to have a good nurse by your side. You know, they're cheering you on, they're encouraging you. Also, too, Jared was amazing. Like, rubbing my back, like holding my hair while I vomit, wiping vomit off my face, like encouraging me. He was like looking, and I was so scared for that. I was like, when I first found out I was pregnant, I was like, you're not looking. Like, when it's time to give birth, I don't want you to look. But I'm so happy that he did, and he is too. It's like a beautiful thing. He watched like his daughter, or like our daughter, come into the world. It's so beautiful, and he always talks about it and says like how amazing it was. I remember being like, I don't want you to like look down there and see that, because then like you might not see things the same again. But I'm telling you, a real man will not care about that after. They'll see it like as a beautiful thing, which he does. And he was just amazing. Like, he knew exactly what I needed. He knew exactly what to do. Like, he was just my rock through all of it. He was like my support. So I'm so lucky that I got to have him, because I know there was at one point where moms weren't even allowed like their husbands or their boyfriends in the room. So I'm so happy and so blessed that I got to have him there by my side, because honestly, like, he pushed me through it. And like him encouraging me and seeing how excited he was, like when he was able to see her head, it was just like an amazing feeling. So make sure to like, comment, share, subscribe to our channel, you know, share a video, all of that good stuff. Let me know down below how your labor was. Like, rate it on a scale from 1 to 10 if you had like an amazing labor or not so great. Like, just share your stories. I love reading your guys' comments down below. I love like hearing your guys' stories. I love like learning from you guys, because I do want more babies. So who knows, maybe my next one will be completely different. So I love to hear different opinions. If you're having a baby, you know, like, if you have any questions, my DMs are always open. I'm always answering back to comments. So ask any questions, DM me personally, you know, if it's more of a personal question. Nothing's too personal. I got you. And yeah, thank you so much for watching.